Dolphins are playing a game this weekend, and I'm trying to think, okay? Dave Wanstedt, first half, when he can't decide between Fiedler and Feely. I'm trying to think of a season that felt like this right away. I'm trying to remember Cam Cameron's 1-15 season, and if the first game felt like the following. The Miami Dolphins this weekend play in a game that is only interesting to South Florida because they're like, does the whole thing just fall apart right here? Was last week real? They might get some sort of NFL illusion because, and think about what I'm about to say here, the New England Patriots, the first week of the season, deserve to also be laughed at from sea to shining sea, but no one is doing that to the Patriots, who played one of the worst football games played this weekend. The Patriots played one, Carolina played one, the Giants played one. The Patriots are the only one of those to do it at home. Against Geno Smith and the Raiders, the Patriots have their fan base saying, oh no, maybe Drake May's not the answer. Oh no, maybe Vrabel's not the answer. 1 week at home and you lose to the Raiders. That's balm for the Dolphins. But I'm presently talking about a game with this group of people who have covered this sport and this team all their lives. And I can't remember something that felt quite like this early in the season. And I'm looking at all of it. After Marino retired at 62-7, Jimmy Johnson leaves. I'm having a hard time remembering a season feeling like this 7 days in.
I think both extremes can be legitimate. I think there's no excuse for the way they played. They had an entire offseason not to come out like that. By far the worst performance in the NFL in week one. I think this is also true. It's a gross over-exaggeration and knee-jerk to say, they're done. They're done. If they beat New England, mark my words, and it's not a stretch to say it, if they beat New England and they're 1-1 and Tua looks good, all of a sudden we overreacted.
A birthday gift to let you talk that long when you don't seem to know what's happening here. Like you don't seem you're in a burning building saying that Mike McDaniel's got a sprinkler over here that a Patriots win solves. The way they lost in game one makes it so that the noise around this stadium is going to have banners flying and people booing in the first quarter if this thing goes sideways.
Right. I agree that people will boo at the first interception.
Greg, what I'm telling you is a team known to be meek nationally, led by a man feared to be meek nationally, is heading to a buzzsaw at home if they get down 10-0.
I'm surprised that you do believe that if the Dolphins beat the Patriots this weekend, that all of a sudden, hey, they're 1-1 and maybe we all overreacted. I mean, everything Dan just said about the Patriots in week number one rings true. Like,
sure.
So you're essentially saying that if the Dolphins beat at home, if the Dolphins beat an equally terrible team who had a terrible performance from week number one, all of a sudden we're going to feel better about them and maybe week one was an overreaction. Like, I disagree.
Okay, what I'm saying is, the overreaction to them losing week one is A, why a lot of people hate the media, and B, why a lot of people think that fans are idiots because of the overreaction. It's one game. I don't care how bad they look.
Greg, the overreaction, though, look.
It's not one game.
Greg,
Really?
Greg.
I thought it was one game.
What he's saying is the mistrust that is here right now from the fan base toward this thing because Zaslow's holding the popular opinion, Greg. Most of this fan base is saying, even the most hopeful, oh my God, is Tua McDaniel, is all of it over? If they lose this game, someone's not going to be here. We agree on that, right? Tyreek Hill, McDaniel, like if they lose this game at home, you would agree that someone will not be here the following week, Greg, and not a minor player.
The following week?
No, I don't agree.
Not after week two.
I don't agree.
I
think 0-2, someone's paying for it. I do. I think that.
I mean, I hope you're right, but I don't think it's true.
It also depends on the game flow, right? If they show up unprepared again and the Boo Birds have their voice the entire game.
Who in the, like, is it Greer or Ross? Like, who has shown you they have the guts to make such a significant move?
I think it would probably be Greer because he's been here for close to a decade and it doesn't really shake up the operation all that much as you're in season. If you let go of the GM, like the fans are going to demand.
How you think Ross has the guts after 2 weeks?
I mean, it's been 10 years.
I'm with you.
It could be Tyreek Hill. Greer, to save his job, could be like, let me make another trade.
Well,
here with
and I do
Pittsburgh.
believe the Chiefs are going to go 0-2 after this week. Okay, if the Dolphins are 0-2 and the Chiefs are 0-2, maybe Tyreek Hill's gone.
But by doing that, you're telling the fan base we've given up on the season after 2 weeks.
I mean, they're flying a banner.
Yeah, but telling them the season's over 2 weeks in is a horrible message.
Okay.
You can agree with them and we have to make changes, but after week 2.
No, but here, so this is the part that's most interesting to me about what you're saying, because Greg's not wrong when he says in almost all the other instances, a reaction to one game in week 1 is an overreaction. It's a hyperventilation. It's one game. However, Greg, and this part to me is the most important part, the way they looked on Sunday that makes you fear. Oh, no, I'm watching the whole thing collapse because they can't stop anybody. They're not going to be physical enough. They're going to ravage their coach. And the entire NFL, Brian Flores in Minnesota, is looking down at Boy Wonder and saying, you went from ball boy to the top and you changed your wardrobe and your clothes and you were offensive genius. Now what do you got in this game against the Patriots when no one trusts you and one of them might be your wide receiver? And your quarterback looked in the last game like he didn't trust anybody because we didn't recognize him after his first read.
And former teammate said that he knew what to do to make Tua panic.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, this thing, like, I don't believe I've ever had, I don't mean to be prisoner of the moment, but I remember Jay Fiedler and A.J. Feely, the first half, Dave Wanstedt ran into something like this. Dave Wanstedt, and that was at 10-6 every year. At 10-6 every year, Wanstedt walks into, I don't have a quarterback. Who's it going to be? I don't know. And in the first half of the first game, he panics. First half of the first game. It's the only time I remember a stadium closing in. Carnivores. They do it at Miami, at the University of Miami all the time. That happens all the time. It's the first time I can remember a stadium caving in because he was under the pressure. This is why the Steelers, what they do is so amazing with 3 coaches. He was under the pressure of Shula and Johnson before you. You're 11-5 every damn season, and everyone's saying you're mediocre. And he panics in the first game because he's Dave Wanstedt. And the Dolphin fan base is looking at McDaniel. They're looking at McDaniel, all the stuff that was charming, and saying, wait a minute, am I going to watch my team fall on this guy's head next Sunday? Like, that's what surrounds that stadium this week. Okay. I've never seen anything like it in this market.
I have a feeling that you're going to be the one renting the plane that carries the Fire Everybody banner. I'm not sure if most fans feel quite as vitriolic as you do about Fire Everybody right now.
Really?
Look, no.
Greg, you're the columnist.
Listen.
You're supposed to have your finger on the pulse.
Okay, did you read what I wrote following that game? I spared no amount of
You can't
criticism.
just say, this was a terrible game, but I have no reason. Like, you're acting like you have no reason to believe that it will continue.
I want to see more than one game of proof.
Okay, multiple years of
They're
this.
favored against New England. The idea.
But they're terrible, New England. And the Dolphins are at home.
You guys
Somebody's
are
gotta be favored.
attacking a columnist for trying to show some level of like nuance or
Okay,
like
here's the
perspective here, and you're like, you should be more of a fan and just fire everyone immediately.
Billy's 100% right. Look, I've been writing and saying since last season that this is the season that tells the future of McDaniel and Grier. If they don't make the playoffs, 99% they will fire the general manager and the coach if they don't make the playoffs. And if they start off terribly, worse than 0-1, I don't think Tyreek Hill will last if they can get a buyer for him. Probably the Chiefs will take him back. But where we disagree is I'm not ready to say all that after one bleeping game, no matter how badly they look.
The place where I would push back on that is, does Greg Cody, do you feel any different? Did this team look any different from what they looked like, the way you felt week 18 last year compared to what you just saw in week 1?
Yes.
They look different?
They look terribly unprepared.
Oh, okay, that's the whole point. So
Okay.
that's why it's not 1 week. It's a continuation from last year.
Here's the thing, Zaz. The way you two are putting it suggests that the opener they played is on top of a terrible 3-14 season. They went 8-9 last year. I'm not forgiving 8-9. Okay, it's a losing record, but 8-9 is credibly bad. It's not.
But the trajectory
incredibly
is
bad.
this: they were playoffs the first 2 years of
Greg,
McDaniel.
if I can, just for historical perspective, okay, because I'll just keep going back to this Wanstedt season because, okay, I was saying the same things then that you were, and I was doing it with 11-5 in my back pocket. And everyone was yelling, no, this is the beginning of the end. How do you not see it? Look, he's using up all the Jimmy Johnson cheers. And I'm like, guys, it's 11-5. It's hard to go 11-5 in that league. And he's handing the ball off, and he's making my friend retire because they're running the ball 400 times a game, and they're punting all the time because they're playing primitive football, wasting the Jimmy Johnson years. And everyone's saying, Dan, how can't you see it? And I'm like, 11-5. The Dolphins, this is not 1 week, Greg. Tua and McDaniel are 6-9 in their last 15 games when Tua's available. 14 interceptions, and Tua's got 8 fumbles. We worry about his head. This is built on something that's really flimsy, and everyone around it is howling. This is the beginning of the end, obviously, and the thing that doesn't feel like hyperventilation to me, and I keep coming back to it, the first game of the season looked like that. Mm-hmm. You got injuries now on the offensive line.
Right.
You can't block anybody, and the Colts put up a performance we've never seen in football before. 7 straight drives, can't be stopped, and the way that it looked is important. It's not just, they had an off game. It's, no, they were dragged up and down the field by surgical competence of Daniel Jones.
Against a team that you know is not that good.
Yeah. I mean, you guys aren't saying anything I don't know. You guys aren't saying anything.
But
who watched that
Greg,
game.
But, Greg, it looked like that's what they are. What I'm saying is no other team in week 1, like Carolina could think they're bad, Giants and the Patriots, but no other team was on the field with its fans watching saying, oh, my God, the way that this is going, they don't have any chance in this game. Do they have any chance in any game?
Okay. If you think the Dolphins are going to be the worst team in the league, I'll bet you $100 and give you odds. It's not going to happen, okay?
What kind of odds we talking about
The Dolphins are not as bad as they looked in the opener. They could not have looked worse. I agree with you. They were putrid. They were embarrassed. They were humiliated. They deserve all of the criticism they're getting. I'm just saying it's one game, and you can't refute that. And it's not a reach that they beat New England, and then what? Are you going to say, maybe we overreacted? Maybe.
I will.
Maybe
If they look
did.
good on Sunday, I'll say I overreacted.
As will most fans.
The problem here is like the perspective of Dolphins fan, right? Like there was this expectation after that game against the Broncos that that's what the Dolphins were, that they were going to score 70 points every game. And if you look at what the Dolphins have been over the last 3 seasons, it was playoff appearance. Last year they controlled their own destiny and they vomited on themselves and they cost themselves the playoffs, but they were there. You knew when that season ended, when as soon as they missed the playoffs, that Stephen Ross announced, hey, you know what, Chris Greer's safe, Mike McDaniel's safe. They weren't going to make any significant change. I mean, the big change that they made in the offseason was, hey, let's get Darren Waller out of retirement. He'll solve this problem.
Yeah.
So they came into this season, and even Greg, who you guys accuse of being a homer and all that, said 8-9 or 9-8. He said, like, they'll be a playoff team maybe as the last seed in the playoffs, but he's not predicting they're going to win the Super Bowl. Everyone knows this is just like a middle-of-the-road team that you could say the window closed, but I think now the question is more so, did the window ever even really exist, or did we just convince ourselves that this was like some super team that it really never was? So when they decided in the offseason, we're not going to make significant changes, by giving it 2 games and firing everyone, what are you really accomplishing? Because you know week 3 is probably going to be a blowout regardless of the outcome of this one against the Bills on Thursday Night Football. So if you fire everyone week 2, then you come back week 3, you get embarrassed nationally while your team is already in disarray. Like, you've punted on the season for everyone to see.
Look at Zaslow. He seems defeated here. I don't suspect this will be the last time we talk about this. Mike Ryan, get out of here. Go cook your stuff. We're going to start the soup off.
Oh.
Yours looks like poop.